Hello and welcome to another Project Falcon Punch guest list video, only this time the guest is actually me, your host Dan, as it's my top 5 games of 2019. But just like last year and the previous year and also Liam's list, this is taken from Liam Robertson's podcast Off the Record that we do bi-weekly over on his Patreon, so please go check that podcast out, the link is in the description below, as there you can also listen to my entire top 10 games of 2019. But of course, right now, it's just top 5. This was recorded back in mid-January, so I have played a couple more games since then. I will say now that Control would probably be making my top 5, maybe in the lower part, maybe 4th or 5th, but just keep that in mind. That's a game that I really wanted to get round to playing, but I just didn't before we did this recording. But to be honest, my 5th game on this list, which we'll get to in a minute, would then be knocked off, and I really feel like this game should be mentioned because I feel like it was criminally underrated or at least overlooked by a lot of people. But what game is that, you might hear me ask? Well, we'll go straight into that one, shall we? So past me, please take it away. Okay, so my number 5 is... I was surprised with this game, but I was looking forward to it initially anyway. It's WARGROOVE.
Ah, yes.
As you know, I think that you know, I have always been a big Advance Wars guy, and fuck Nintendo and Intelligent Systems for abandoning it and going after the waifu bollocks. No, whatever. Like, Fire Emblem is a series that's not really ever grabbed me. Maybe Three Houses might be that game. I've not tried it. But WARGROOVE is that game that I have been wanting Intelligent Systems to make since, 2007 was the last Advance Wars, I think. And even then, it wasn't that great. But the first 2 Advance Wars games are phenomenal. They're 2 of my favourite GBA games of all time. And this definitely does things different. It's not just Advance Wars with a different coat of paint. Like, it has a lot of fantasy elements. It has a lot of story. It has troops on the battlefield, like Fire Emblem, where there's you have troops that you make up all the time, but you have a specific, the king, I guess, the king piece, or the queen piece. And this piece is like your leader. And you don't want it to get killed because otherwise, in certain parts, you can fail the missions. Truth be told, I've not actually finished the campaign because it's very long. I wish the missions were slightly smaller. I don't know what Fire Emblem Three Houses is like, but I've been playing this on the Xbox One, so it's not like the Switch where I can just lock the Switch and just play all the time. And the missions go on for a good hour and a half sometimes, and they do drag a little bit. So maybe if I finish it, and maybe if they were to a couple of little tweaks here and there, this could easily be way up high on my list. It also has actually one of the main things I love about it is it has the map maker like Advance Wars did.
Yeah.
But because we're in the new age where you can share and download so many maps, it's like you have an infinite supply of not just maps to download, but scenarios as well. People who've created their own scenario stories and stuff with characters, and you can write your own dialogue and everything.
That's great.
The map maker editor is just incredible. I don't know if that was there from launch. It might have been a post-launch thing they added, because I played this game through Game Pass, which it's on Game Pass, so if you have that, download it and get it because it's fucking awesome. This is definitely scratching that itch, that Advance Wars itch that I've had for a few years. So yeah, really digging WARGROOVE, and I need to play more of it because, like I say, if I play more, it might go up even higher. But it's 5th for now. Number 4 is The Outer Worlds, which I was surprised I enjoyed this as much because I'm not a Fallout guy. I've played Fallout in the past. I liked Fallout 4, but I put about 40 hours into that game, got probably 3/4 of the way through the story, and just completely dropped off. This game is just trims off all the fats of the Fallout games that just kind of oh, here's a map and here's a fuck ton of pointer markers and quests and shit, and it's none of it ever matters. This game feels so much more focused. The worlds that you visit are sort of linear-ish. You have open areas. A bit similar to Metro Prime 3, where you can go in your ship and you can fly to different planets and stuff and different space stations. And it feels a bit Mass Effect in the sense that you have companions. You have 6 companions you can get throughout your quest. You can completely miss all of them. And there's even perks as well that give you better attributes if you don't even have companions, if you don't even want them to begin with. But definitely have the companions because they have some of the coolest quest lines, which are completely separate from the main story. The main story is actually pretty good, but it's not the best thing. The best thing is definitely the companion quests and finding out about your companion characters, and you go back to your ship and you can see them interacting with each other, and the combat is fine. It plays very much like Fallout 4. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but the game is definitely at its best in the story writing and the characters. And it kind of drops off towards the end of the game. I'll admit the main story just kind of, I don't know, I really enjoyed the beginning of the story and the middle, and then I just kind of got really invested in the characters that when I went back to the main story, it was oh yeah, this story, it's alright, I guess. I just finished it and then that was it. It has so many different alternate paths with certain quests and factions and stuff. It's not as big as Fallout, so it's a game that you can beat in 20-30 hours, so it's a game that makes you want to go back and replay certain sections that are completely different. You can be a dick here, you can be a good here.
I would like to play it, actually.
Yeah.
It's one of the few games from 2019 that I missed that does quite interesting interests me. The more I see of it and the more I hear people talk about it, I think, I should try that because it is on Game Pass. I have Game Pass. And I feel like I kind of missed out.
Yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. Like I say, if you mainline this game, you can beat it in 20 hours, maybe even less than that. But really, I think the meat of this game is in some of the side quests. They're just really good. So, number 3, I have Resident Evil 2.
Great.
And as you know, as we spoke about on the podcast, I have had some problems with that game in terms of just performance. I played this on the Xbox One. I had moments where the world wasn't loading. I had out of sync audio issues. But put that aside, the game's really fucking good. You said about how the zombies actually pose a threat. I hate using this word. The Metroidvania aspect of, because the Resident Evil games have always been like this, where you get a key here and you unlock a point here. But the game isn't completely linear. Like, you'll get a key and think, okay, I'll get this key to unlock this door that's over the other side now. You're walking through and you'll find another key or another object that unlocks another section. You think, oh, where should I go now? Guess I could go that way. That's closest, but it's got the liquors down that corridor. Can I really be arsed? I've only got like 2 shotgun shells left. Like, it definitely makes you question where you want to go in the actual game itself, because the enemies pose a threat.
Yeah, I really liked those parts where you are plotting where you need to go.
Yeah.
You take a look at the map and it's like, what is strategically the best path to not get fucked up by Mr. X or the zombies or whatever.
And Mr. X, when he first shows up, he's fucking terrifying. Just when he starts to outstay his welcome, he's like, okay, he's becoming a nuisance now. You move on to the next section and he's no longer there. And then all of a sudden he breaks through a fucking wall out of nowhere. No shit, no, he's still here. I played through this game. I think last time I spoke to you, I think I said I played through Claire A and I was halfway through Leon B. I have since finished Leon B. I then went and played through Leon A and also Claire B. Like, I've played through the game 4 times. Yeah, I just got obsessed with playing this. And I should have stopped playing once I finished Leon B. I should have started playing Astral Chain because I had it sitting on my shelf for fucking ages. But for whatever reason, I was like, no, I want to play through it again. So yeah, I played through the game 4 times, or 2 kind of full times if you want to look at it that way. I liked Resident Evil 7, as you know. Don't know if I prefer it. I think it definitely does things better than 7, but it does things worse than 7 at the same time. It's up there as well. Like, it's one of my favourite Resi games for me. Cool. Number 2, and this was surprising again for me, is Super Mario Maker 2. So cool. I know that you didn't get into it as much, especially on the Maker side of things, and I loved the first one, but didn't get that much into making either, because I felt like when I was playing that game, the first one was so it limited you to the tile set you had. You only had a limited amount of items you could put down, and it just kind of like made me think, I would want to make a map, but then I know that I can't do this thing because I'm missing this part. So it just kind of discouraged me from actually making maps in the first one. So all I did was play other people's maps, which I still enjoyed. But in this game, I just got obsessed with creating maps. Like, I put a solid 50 hours into this game just creating maps. But I didn't expect it to happen. And that was only once I did what you suggested me do, which was buy a stylus. Because trying to make maps with either the controller or just your finger on the Switch's screen is not ideal at all. No. So yeah, getting the stylus is the best thing to do. And I think I showed you a couple of the maps I made. I recreated so many Donkey Kong Country maps for some weird reason. I got obsessed with just recreating those maps. And first I was just doing them like block by block, trying to make it a perfect recreation. And then I realised that as I was playing them, like, it doesn't really work in the Mario physics, because a small jump in Donkey Kong is a huge jump in Mario, or vice versa. Like, so Donkey Kong's so much weightier, like, so the jumps aren't as high. I would just basically recreate the maps from the ground up as how they should be in Mario's logic, I guess, and everything. And just like the new skins they added, like the Super Mario 3D World, which I remember thinking, like, does that really warrant a new skin? It's just kind of like the new Super Mario Brothers. But no, I really enjoyed the things they introduced in there, like the car and stuff like that. Even though I've not played that game a lot since that first month or 2 that I played it, I just played obsessively with that. Like,
me too.
And it really like sort of taught me more about, I guess, level design, because I have made maps that aren't just Donkey Kong Country since. I think that's like maybe a tip I could give to people who feel like they don't know where to start when creating new maps. Recreate a past level, whether it be an old Mario level or a Donkey Kong level, or I don't know, a Sonic or whatever. Try and recreate something like a template, and then you get like your mindset of then when you go to create your own map, you really use ideas that you had from those maps in your head.
I think just playing other people's levels and playing the ones Nintendo have made in the campaign, that's a really good way to just get the creative juices flowing, especially the campaign. Each level is like based around an idea or two, and it teaches you how to make a good level, how to make interesting gimmick, how to use a certain item in a fun way. I think that is what the game does really well, is it sort of, eases you into the creative process process by sort of tantalizing you with these ideas. Here's how you could use this mushroom or this spring or whatever.
And I know you didn't play the first one, but that's what the first one was missing, like a campaign, or like, here is how the levels are supposed to be designed or made, and like, here's just a good idea. But yeah, I really liked Super Mario Maker 2. I don't know if you can guess what my number one is.
Could it be Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yeah, you know me. I actually own that game. I just need to get around to playing it. I only want to play it just for the Pixar levels, like the Kingdom Hearts like lore shit. Can stay out of it. I couldn't give a fuck. But anyway, no, my actual number one is Death Stranding.
Oh right, of course. Yes, you did mention that earlier.
Which I know is like a very, very polarizing game. Some people love it. A few people love it. A lot of people did not like this game, and I totally get why you did not like this game. Whenever you love a game and you hear someone talk shit on it, you're like, oh, I want to defend it. Whenever I hear anyone talk shit on this game, I'm like, yeah, I can see it, yeah. But it just grabbed me. It really, really like sunk its teeth into me. Put like 70 plus hours into this game. The main campaign I finished after like 50, and I just put another 20 into the post game. I don't know really where to begin with this, other than like I know that you've not played it, so I don't know if you have any questions.
Not really, to be honest. Is the storytelling any good?
So I will say that the story is hit and miss, but I really like the characters. This is going to sound like really sort of sappy, but that game came at a time in my life last year where I was not in a good place. The main like story of the game is, it sort of boils down to like a father-son bond.
Yeah.
I'll just say it, but because I lost my dad last year, and then I played this game about a month after that happened. Maybe the game was lucky it came at that right time in my life, or maybe I was lucky it came in that right time, but it just kind of, I don't know, it really hit me that I wasn't expecting. I could have played fucking Mario Maker 2 and I would have been really happy. I don't know. There's so many aspects of this game that I just really adore. Like when you got these moments where you're walking through this like big wilderness, the music drops and the camera like just zooms out. You just see the environment, and so many games now, especially with like the graphics intensive games where the camera's so tight to the character, like it takes up 2/3 of the screen. And then when this game just like, you see like the whole environment and it looks stunning still, and I'm running on a base PS4, I'm just like, this game runs fucking superbly. Then there's the whole social aspect of the game that I just got so addicted to, building roads and building zip lines, because when you first start playing this game, you are just walking and carrying packages, because that's, I guess I've not really talked about the actual gameplay yet. When you're just walking with the packages and you're loading yourself up, you're walking through to the next area, and then okay, now you've got a bigger package, it's going to take longer, but then you like sort of Metal Gear Solid style get like metal legs that can withstand more weights. Then all of a sudden you can make a bike and make the bike carry loads of the weight, or you get a vehicle, but oh no, the vehicle, the environment's not the most stable environment. So it's one of those games where you start walking and then you start running and then you start riding the bike, and it's just you become more and more appreciative of the new mechanics it introduced to you.
Yeah.
Before you know it, I was loving just ziplining everywhere, even though it kind of almost breaks the game, but it makes you really appreciate that first beginning of when you are just wandering in the wilderness. It's such a weird game in so many ways. Plot, the story, everything about it is so weird. Even the gameplay is so weird, but for whatever reason it really grabbed me, and I just couldn't put it down. And I wasn't that hyped for this game. I was looking forward to it, I was interested in it, but I wasn't like, oh my god, I love, because I'm not even like the biggest Kojima fan. I like Metal Gear, but I'm not like obsessed with his stuff or anything.
Yeah.
I started playing the first 5 hours and thinking, I don't know if I really like this. But again, it's one of those games that if you were to play it, Liam, and you were to tell me, Dan, I think this game's bad, I go, okay.
That's fair enough, yeah. I feel like, you know, sometimes people don't look at games the same way I do, and I feel like the same way you do to an extent. I feel like we look at games and, you know, like, how do they speak to us, like, on an autistic level? And I feel like this is just a game that has spoken to you, and you found something in it. Maybe it's in a slightly abstract way, but it did something for you, and that's awesome. I feel like, I hope in the future people look at games in that way as well, you know, in a kind of a abstract way. How does it reflect your experiences and recall feelings and that type of thing? Because I do want to get away from, you know, just always talking about how do the mechanics work, and you know how does the moment by moment intricacies of the gameplay work, you know, and how does it hold up technically. I feel like a bit too much of that goes into reviewing games on like mainstream game websites. Whereas I think it should be, if we are to treat it as art, be about how does it make you feel? What emotions does it evoke? Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, and I think, describing this game as art is like a perfect analogy in that way, because to someone looking at a picture, they go, I don't get it. That picture doesn't do anything for me. To someone else that goes, yeah, that picture really speaks to me.
Yeah, it's a testament to, how objective these things are, how subjective, I mean. Everyone has their own experiences, and sometimes there are things beyond the technical and things beyond the objective that you can look at, and sometimes it's not all about just how entertaining it is on the moment to moments in a certain space of the game. Like, I haven't played Death Stranding, so I can't say that I fully understand, but I could totally see myself getting an appreciation out of it. I liked Metal Gear Solid 5, and that was full of nonsense and pretentious bullshit. And
I've got to admit that that's the part that does make me think that you might actually like this game, because I know that you liked Phantom Pain like me.
I do appreciate a bit of cinemaphilia nonsense sometimes. Like, I sat and watched The Irishman for 3.5 hours, so I can have patience sometimes. As long as it's doing something that's kind of entertaining occasionally. Red Dead 2, I really wanted to have that experience with, and I didn't. And I keep going back to that and thinking, man, I should go back to that and try again. But every time I play it, I'm just bored. Like, it's just not fun to me. That's really a shame. That is an example of how other people play the exact same thing and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I can do this and that. And I just see it and I'm sort of paralyzed by all the intricacies of it and just a bit bored by it.